The stunning decision by China, Russia, and Saudi Arabia to impose sanctions on Israel in response to the Rafah attacks was a turning point in the Middle East conflict. The three titans of world politics, which historically have taken different positions, suddenly came together in a united front, dramatically changing the diplomatic landscape of the region. For Beijing, sanctions are a way to demonstrate its growing influence and commitment to human rights as part of its global ambitions. Moscow, already a key player in the Middle East, seeks to weaken Western dominance. Riyadh, despite its clandestine cooperation with Tel Aviv in recent years, is being forced to backtrack under domestic and regional pressures. The sanctions are multifaceted and aimed at large-scale pressure. They include trade restrictions in technology and arms, financial blockades, and travel bans on Israeli officials. The scale of possible damage to the Israeli economy is enormous. The stock market crash and the devaluation of the shekel have already occurred. Companies are faced with halting shipments and searching for new markets. High-tech industries, which are closely integrated into global supply chains, will be particularly hard hit. Tourism, barely recovered from the pandemic, will be on the verge of losing visitors from key countries. Far more important, however, are the long-term geopolitical implications. Sanctions could cause a reshaping of alliances and a fundamental reassessment of Israel's strategic priorities. Western reactions have been swift but fragmented. The US, the Jewish state's main ally, condemned the sanctions as disproportionate and counterproductive. Europe is divided. Some favor Israeli accountability, others fear destabilization. The UN has called for restraint and peaceful dialogue. At the same time, human rights activists hail sanctions as a necessary step to curb Israel's excessive violence in Rafah. Palestinian factions are using the situation to consolidate and call for resistance. Hamas is exploiting the image of a victim of injustice to strengthen its position. Tensions are also rising in the West Bank. In Rafah itself, the situation is critical: multiple casualties, destroyed infrastructure, lack of water and electricity. International organizations are trying to help, but access is severely hampered. The local population, already living in miserable conditions, is in final isolation. For the powerful initiators of the sanctions, China, Russia, and Saudi Arabia, these measures are motivated by far-reaching strategic considerations. In addition to protecting human rights, Beijing is demonstrating strength on the world stage. Moscow is consolidating its role as a key mediator in the Middle East by challenging the US. Riyadh maneuvers between traditional leadership in the Islamic world and pragmatic regional security interests. Overall, the sanctions reflect a growing tendency to use economic and diplomatic tools to achieve goals instead of military force. The diverse interests of powers are intertwined on the stage of global politics. Private sector reactions have varied. Defense companies have faced the postponement and cancellation of multi-million-dollar contracts. The science-intensive high-tech industry, the engine of Israel's economy, is threatened by restrictions on cooperation with China and Russia, which could cause a slowdown in innovation and investment. Oil and gas giants are also feeling the impact of the sanctions. Riyadh intends to use the energy factor to increase pressure. Possible changes in Saudi oil production could hit global prices. Russia is also ready to use resource leverage to reformat alliances and trade relations. On the diplomatic front, other players in the region like Iran and Erdogan's Turkey are watching the situation closely to use it to advance their own interests. Tehran may see the sanctions as justification for its hardline anti-Israeli stance. Ankara will not miss a chance to consolidate its influence and gain Palestinian support. Even within Israel itself, heated debates have erupted. Some see the sanctions as an opportunity to revise the Gaza policy and restart the peace process. Others see them as an unfair punishment that only inspires enemies and undermines security. Public opinion is divided by protests and demonstrations reflecting the deep divide over the Palestinian question. In the coming weeks, it will become clear how events will affect the situation. Will Israel make concessions under pressure or escalate the conflict further? Will China, Russia, and Saudi Arabia be able to remain united in the face of shifting interests? And what are the implications for global politics if other powers pick up the slack? The sanctions against Israel open a new chapter in the Israeli-Palestinian standoff and demonstrate the intertwined nature of contemporary international relations. I encourage you to continue to follow the developments. Give me likes, subscribe to the channel, and share your opinion in the comments. Your voice matters. I wish you wisdom, prosperity, and a speedy resolution to this most complex conflict.